Okay, so now we're talking about anger. And anger is a very large set of emotions, and it belongs to the wood elemental family, which is affecting our liver and our gallbladder. So our liver and our gallbladder, right, those are part of the digestive organs, and they help to move things within our systems so we can build up our nutrition and we can digest our food. Appropriate and free-flowing anger within our system is a good thing as it initiates change and growth. Frustration is an allied emotion here with anger. And when the wood element is balanced, we're able to be flexible and to rethink plans and make alternative arrangements. So we keep frustration at bay because it's no big deal, it's okay, we can, move on the fly and just be flexible and adjust and understandable and sympathetic to why we need to do these things. However, when we don't allow our anger to affect positive changes in our lives, it can cause increasing feelings of frustration. It can create bitterness, resentment, outbursts of rage, or it could go on the other way and manifest in just apathy, like non-affect. I don't care about you. Who are you to me? And then it can lead to depression. So when we're starting to feel anger in our system, we get an increase of heart rate because an injustice has been done, so it rises. It gets a rise out of us, right? We get an increase in blood pressure. We breathe faster, so we're taking in increased oxygen. We have muscle tension because we're getting ready to act. We can develop heart disease. So if we keep too much anger in our system, it affects our cardiovascular system, and it has attributed to the development of heart disease. It also can cause chronic pain. Think about that. Our muscles are tensing. And if we're not doing something with those muscles, if we're not releasing that tension and letting it work itself out, we're holding that tension, and it creates pain within our joints and in our musculature. It can also create lung damage. If we're breathing faster, we're tending to breathe shallower. So we're not having that beautiful lung capacity that we would normally have, and we're breathing shallow. And it also creates a weakened immunity. We need to be resting in order to build up our immunity and in order to combat disease and germs and bad microbes that come at us from all directions. So when we are experiencing anger, what type of behaviors do we do, right? So clearly, this is a no-brainer. We yell, we raise our voice, we scream. We storm around, right? So we stomp our feet, we make lots of noise, everybody knows we're coming, right? We can become passive aggressive. We can say those behaviors aren't tolerable, and so we're going to hold on to it and we're going to get them another way, right? We can become very silent and stew and let that anger just simmer inside of us like a volcano, ready to erupt at any moment. And we can withdraw. Because I've been angry for so long and nobody pays attention to me anyway, so what's the point? So when we get here, it's very clear that the anger isn't flowing freely through our systems. It's not being directed towards our course of action, and we're not allowed to take positive action to protect ourselves or others, because that's what anger does. It tells us there's been an injustice, something wrong has happened, and the anger signals us to make it right and to keep us and our loved ones safe. So when we aren't allowed to listen to it, we're not allowed to act on it, it just builds up in our system. And we can experience this overload of wood. Now, if you are like me and live in Southern California, you know what it's like to have an influx of flammable plant life in the heat of summer in fire season. We've had way too many wildfires. We don't need more of that. Okay, so if we don't want this eruption within ourselves, then we need to be open to letting ourselves release this anger. So if we do allow ourselves to have this overload of anger, right? Again, there's this 2-organ symptomology. I'm going to read the first one, and you can read 2, 3, 4, and 5 on your own. But if we're experiencing an imbalance or an overload of anger in our system, our livers, right? Our liver, right in here, can cause us to be irritable. And we can have pain on our side. We can feel it in our liver. It can also cause us to have a bitter taste in our mouths and a wiry pulse. Again, that zzz, 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 zzz pulse. And then our lungs can cause us to have a shortness of breath, where it's hard to catch our breath, where it's hard to feel like we're breathing freely. So if we're experiencing this duality of symptoms from both our liver and our lungs, then that's an indication that we have too much wood built up in our system. Okay? So go ahead and read through the other symptomologies and answer some questions. Let us know what part of anger are you feeling currently, or what behaviors are you exhibiting or have you exhibited today. And if you associate or resonate with any of these duality of symptomologies that show or indicate an imbalance or an influx of wood in your system. And then we'll see you in just a little bit to talk about overthinking and sympathy.